Hi there. Welcome to the next part in the P-Pump 24 valve series. If you've been following along, the last video covered disassembly where we removed this stinking VP44 gear case. So of course we're going to start this one off with the installation of the P-Pump gear case. If you're not always subscribed to the channel, make sure you are so you're not missing any of these new videos, and check out my channel for other diesel related videos as well. If you have any questions regarding the P-Pump 24 valve swap, make sure to leave a comment below and I'll try to get to it as best I can, or just let me know you like the video by leaving a like or commenting as well. Without further ado, let's dig into it and get this sucker on. Alright, so before we put the gear case on, I have to make a modification to it to allow for the cam sensor adapter. And something to note is between 98 to 2000 and 2001 to 2002, they have a different cam sensor. So if you're looking at this one, the 2001-2002 has this little flat spot on the original kind of gear case. And then if you look at the 98 to 2000, it's kind of just a round raised surface. I don't have a 98 to 2000 gear case here, so unfortunately I can't show one in real time, but this picture helps illustrate it here. So make sure when you're doing your P-Pump 24 valve swap to get the appropriate cam sensor adapter should you want to use it. Something to note about using the cam sensor adapter and all the factory 2001 and 2002 wiring is that should you ever slip timing and have to find top dead center on the engine, the 12 valves have a pin you can push in that locks the cam gear at top dead center, makes it a lot easier to find and retime the pump. So I prefer, of course, using the 98 12 valve harness so I can retain the appropriate P-pump cam gear. But for Chris's build, we're going to put this on here. So I'm going to start off by laying it over, marking what I have to machine out, and then taking a die grinder to it. So the cam sensor adapter is supplied with some nice stainless Allen-headed bolts that use a 4mm Allen key, and I have installed the cam sensor adapter, and you can see the overlap for where the hole's difference. So I marked it with a red marker. I'm going to then take a die grinder and grind it out. Something to note, as you can flip this both ways, and it fits both ways. When doing that, I looked at the other gear case and kind of noted that this hole is more closer to the kind of opening here than it is further away. So yeah, something to note. Anyways, I'm going to get to die grinding it now. There we are, the cam sensor is installed and everything's looking good. These used a 4mm Allen key and this is used a 5.5mm Allen key. Use the other side, looking good. You probably don't need to be that precise with how much you machine it out as the adapter is O-ringed. If you have an air compressor, make sure you blow this off thoroughly. It doesn't look like I have any shavings on here, but I'm not going to take any chances. Coming back to the engine here, I want to prep the surface for the new gasket, and there was, of course, the original gasket was stuck in a couple spots, and it kind of gets tricky to get around the oil pump. So I removed the oil pump. It uses a couple 13mm head bolts, and then I have a new water pump to replace, as well as over time the original water pump. If you're not sure if it should be changed or not, when they kind of get worn down, they'll get a small groove in them. So we're already in here. Chris just picked up a new one, so we figured we'd put a new water pump on it while we're at it. So with that removed and the oil pump removed, I can get all the gasket out of here. I use a razor blade to scrape it off, and then afterwards I go over it with some brake clean and a rag and just make sure everything's looking good. Another thing to note while you're scraping the gasket off is to kind of put a rag or something in the lower oil pan here so any gasket material doesn't fall into the pan. Also, take note when you remove the water pump, some water may come out as well, so you kind of want to catch all that. So with everything kind of cleaned up here, I'm going to put on a gasket for the gear case, but the lower pan, when I took off the original gear case, ripped the front part of the oil pan gasket. So I'm going to use RTV for the lower half. Specifically in this application, I'll be using some stuff called the Right Stuff. There it is, the right stuff. That's it. It's kind of funny to tell your friend about it. It's like, oh, just get the right stuff. And I'm like, what do you mean? What's the right stuff? Well, there it is. So I use this. My other preferences are to the AC Delco engine sealant and the Mopar engine sealant silicone. Anyways, I'm going to start gooping this up and put her on. All right, I put the new gasket on and just used a light bead of silicone to kind of keep it adhered to the block. Make sure you don't touch any of these mating surfaces so they're nice and dry. I pre-wiped them with some brake clean in case there's any oil on them. Then I'm going to try and kind of stab the bottom first. Try not to push my film of RTV out of the way. Then there's two dowels, one at the top and one at the bottom, and simple as that. Just pray it doesn't leak. Then I've got the three kind of inner case bolts. I'll do those first. Gotta get the, I think it's a TX40, and then torque them down. A correction on the previous clip, don't put these in quite yet. You want to clean them with some brake clean and then give them a little bit of red Loctite. Any internal bolts, such as these ones, and the oil pump bolts, and then the cam retainer bolts, you're going to want to apply Loctite to all of them, as you really don't want these suckers backing off later down the line. So I'm going to apply all those. The torque for pretty much every one of these bolts, it's about the same. I think it's like M8 or M10. I think it's M8. Is about 18 foot-pounds is what I set it to. I think I've seen some as high as 22, but I don't really like to go too high, as I've seen some kind of get a little bit soft on me. So I have a bolt up here, you can just kind of see, and then I torque down all the bottom bolts where the RTV is. Something to note before you kind of torque it down too much, or if you use silicone or whatever with the gasket, is you want to kind of put a couple bolts in to make sure that the gasket isn't like hanging down in some spots, so it's actually lined up. Yeah, so with that out of the way, I'm going to kind of put the oil pump back in here, water pump on, and then torque all these Gearcase bolts, and then move on to the camshaft. If you've been following along in the series here and watched the previous videos, you know that when it comes to the camshaft, Chris decided to pick out a 188-220 cam. So we've got the new 188-220 here with the appropriate cam gear on it. You can see the cams over here. I ended up having a spare gear. You can see the 12 valve gears right there, 24 valve gears right there. So I'm going to slide it in right now. I've got the braking additive on the cam, and we're going to just kind of gently caress it, get it in there. Still a little spicy from putting the gear on. This is a gentle operation. Just want to go slow with it. Then you eventually have to grab from the back. It just slides in there like it's meant to be. Before I kind of do the last little bit, you have to remember the cam retainer. Here, that kind of just slides on right there. One side's a little, like hardly even warm, but that's the side that it was before. So I'm going to put that facing outside, so we got this nice unused side on the other side. So while you're installing the cam, you want to make sure that you have this single circle lined up with the two circles. They're up there, but you can't spin the cam or spin the engine over with the cam kind of half in, or else it hits the crankshaft. So I'm just going to get the crank part lined up. Kind of want it about there, and I'll pull the cam out. There. And this way I can spin the cam until it lines up. The retainer in the back. retainer's just right there. Those are lined up. Oh, I'm off a tooth. Got the cam retainer in it now, and I've got my dial indicator on the top of the deck surface here so I can find out where top dead center is. If you've never done this before, basically, and you don't have to use a dial indicator, you can use like a welding rod down the injector hole if you still have the head on, is you bar the engine over until it goes up, and then when it starts to go down, just go back down a little bit. If you want to get really scientific with it, you can put the balancer on and then mark where it'll go up and then mark where it starts to go down and kind of find the halfway in between there. The dial indicator makes things easier. However, not all of you are going to have the heads off when you're doing this. So a couple of different options. Anyway, so I found top dead center in cylinder 1. And then you can also just line up the gear in the tooth here to where it looks pretty happy. And that'll give you top dead center as well. So now with that being lined up, I'm going to put my P-pump gear in here. So I've got the pump gear in here and I've made a mark on it. And there's a little bit of an explanation behind this mark. So the cam does not have any sort of pin to pin the engine at top dead center. And to avoid having to pull the injector and pull it all apart to retime the engine, this little mark kind of serves as a baseline for where approximately top dead center is. Should the pump ever slip timing, because this is a tapered fit gear, and when it slips, it's when the gear slips on the shaft of the pump and it gets out of time. It's going to be difficult to find top dead center and get everything retimed. So with this mark here, you can at least bar the engine over, look for these 3 little dings, and then you know you're kind of in the ballpark. And in addition to this, I'm going to mark the balancer with a little indicator rod and a mark. So then should you be in the ballpark of there, then you can look at the balancer and be like, okay, that's top dead center or pretty damn close to it. It's not going to be as precise as the dial indicator, but it doesn't really need to be bang on by 1 or 2 degrees. It's not going to hurt you anyways. So that's all done. Pump gear's marked. I'm going to put the front cover on here as I still have some modifications to the pump before putting the pump on, and we'll move on. After the camshaft's in, you want to remove the dowels, and when I did that, I put the billet tapper cover on. And kind of while I'm over in this area, I put the vacuum pump on. I would recommend putting a seal kit in the vacuum pump, even if yours doesn't leak. If you're kind of up there in miles, they end up eventually leaking and wearing out, and oh man, it makes a heck of a mess in these trucks. Another note while putting the vacuum pump in is the oil supply line for the vacuum pump can't be used. I didn't say this in my first video there as I forgot about it, but it originally has 2 90s on it, and the P-pump vacuum pump oil supply has a straight and then a single 90 on it. It's down there. So I luckily had another P-pump oil feed kicking around, but should you want to make one, it's just a -4 GIC on both sides. And then because it only has a single oil feed, as the VP is just fuel lubricated, you need to make a line splitter of sorts. So this is a factory P-pump line splitter. I'll provide a picture of what a 98 12 valve one is, because these blocks are ORB. The 98 12 valve one has a female -4 JIC that screws onto the factory 24 valve block fitting, and then it allows you to put this little block on here. So I just put this 12 valve one in here, and yeah, and then also before you put the vacuum pump on, you want to put the injection pump support bracket on as well. And there's a second part with a block of sorts right here. I'm going to install that, and you want to leave the bolt loose, as you kind of want to have this some allowance to move around, and then you want to well, I'll cover it later anyways when you put the pump on, but just don't tighten this block down. Just put the bolt in it, kind of have it ready. We'll cover it later when we do the injection pump install. Once you're happy with everything inside, you can install the timing cover. In the event that it's not a billet one, use your old one with a series of 10mm bolts and either RTV or a gasket to seal it up. Something to note about the front main is just take a little bit of Scotch-Brite and polish your crank up and see if there's a groove in it. In the event that it does have a groove, you can take your ideally new front main seal and offset it in a little bit more in the timing cover. However, I prefer to use a wear sleeve front main whenever I do timing cover seals on these trucks, as I've had stock brand new front mains and they've leaked. So wear sleeve, no leak, good to go. Next up to put on here is the balancer. If you're just running the stock one, it's 4 bolts. However, Chris decided to go with a Fluidampr, so I've got to do a drill pin kit and install the Fluidampr. So you can skip the next step. It's going to be a little bit showing the Fluidampr install, but that's next. All right, getting started on the Fluidampr install. I've got the 300,008, the full power package, and in order to put this in, as it has some dowel spots on it, we had to get the 300,002 drill pin kit. So I've got that bolted on the front here, and following the instructions, it says to drill 1 and 1 here for the full power kit. And if you have a common rail truck, they have an existing dowel pin right here, so you have to line that up and you have to drill a little bit different of a package. So I've got that bolted on there. They've got a supplied drill 7.7 millimeter drill bit. I'm going to drill this both in 1.25 inches, I believe is what it asks for. That's adding the fixture today, 1 1/8 inches, including total drill bit. So I'll mark the drill bit using some piece of tape, and yeah. Got my piece of tape on, got the drill, got a little blanket here to kind of hold it straight, and then I brace myself and put a lot of weight on it and going smooth. I go for a bit and then I pull it out and cool it off in some oil, water, whatever you prefer. And I have my piece of tape to get the depth right. So continue out, do this, do the other one, and we'll continue from there. All right, the holes are drilled out. I verified depth using a caliper here. We're looking good. That took way longer than it should have. That's a very hard crankshaft to drill through. So now you want to, you don't want to remove the fixture quite yet. You want to take the supplied reamer, put it in there, and then drill the reamer through till the bottom of the hole, and then we'll remove the adapter and then clean the holes out. All right, they're cleaned out. We've got this little kind of spacer thing here lined up. Got the balancer. Don't want to put the dowels in yet. Place this on. Line it up, and then you put the dowels in. It says to tap them lightly with the brass hammer. So I'm going to go get my hammer here. This sucker. Get some Loctite here. Well, the bolts are in for the Fluidampr, however, they're not torqued, as I'm worried if I take a torque wrench to this, the engine is going to bar over and I'll lose top dead center. So I'm going to wait to torque that until I have the injection pump on. Now, with the injection pump, I have some modifications to do first, so we're going to go cover that. Well, that concludes the first part of the P-Pump 24 valve assembly. The next video is going to cover P-Pump modifications as well as a little bit of a dress up to this already very well looking P-Pump. I decided to make it a separate video in the series, as the guys that just want to get their pump on and working on the truck can skip the next video, as well as it's pretty universal to maybe the 12 valve guys or people that already have a P-Pump 24 valve and they want to add a little bit more power. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you can see that. And if you have any questions with regards to the swap and what I've done, or something I may have not covered or perhaps missed, or even part numbers, things like that, please leave a comment. I'll try to answer them as fast as I can. And make sure you like the video if you enjoyed this type of content as well. I hope to see you in another video. Thanks for watching. And that's it. This thing's heavy.